So literally yesterday I was speaking with a client, right? And he literally told me something that I've been saying for ages. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Psych, this is Paulo Sanz. But like anyways, on a serious note, like he told me something that I've literally been saying for ages, right? I was on the phone with him yesterday, right? And he was telling me, he's like, man, I just want to get good at life. My whole life I've just been working, 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 right? And this ties into the idea of what society is constantly expecting out of us as individuals that live in today's world. Just constantly working. This idea of hustle culture, moving, 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 working, 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 always constantly being on the move, when in reality, this is actually the reason why a lot of our lives are not where we want to be able to be, right? This is why a lot of our lives are just completely a whole mess. This is why a lot of us just completely hate our lives, is because these standards and these expectations society has always constantly given us of you need to be moving, 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 working, always constantly on the go, 24/7. Make sure you're always productive. You know, these hustle culture ideologies and stuff like that, right? And he was telling me like how he has a daughter and, you know, he just wants to get good at life his whole life. That's all he's been doing. He's went to the Navy, he's done all these things that actually align with the ideology of society. But he's unsatisfied, right? He told me, he's like, man, I'm just trying to get good at life. And it really just goes to show and prove the point of the fact that society's expectations of us as people were never designed in the way that it would actually make us successful in our own way, shape, or form. This is exactly the reason as to why I'm going to be talking about in this video why society's expectations and standards of us as human beings, or just individuals in general, or just people, regular people, were never actually designed in a way that would make us successful, but rather the exact opposite, to make us live in a way that is not actually aligned with the kind of people that we want to be able to become, that is not actually aligned with the life that we want to be able to live, and just most importantly, is not actually aligned just with our lives, the kind of people that we envision ourselves becoming. Just overall, we just hate our lives because of society's expectations and standards of us as collective people, as the collective consciousness. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Hold on, hold on, hold on. We need to be able to like realize and understand that a lot of us are actually trying to live in a way that actually aligns with society and not actually our very own selves. And we wonder why, you know, something isn't clicking. We wonder why it's as if that we know subconsciously within our own minds that we're not actually living the way that we actually want to be able to live our lives. It's as if we know that something essentially just isn't right, right? And you have to realize and understand it's mostly because of the fact that you are still following and listening to the expectations and standards of society that society has placed onto you so that you can live your very own, your very worst life possible. I know a lot of people might be saying, kind of wondering, okay, like you're probably capping me. Okay, like how you know that, you know, these expectations and these rules were kind of set in place so that we would never be able to live our lives successfully, right? And you just gotta have some common sense, bro. Like if these rules and expectations and these standards, you know, that the people that are responsible of running society had kind of put in place for us to follow in society, then bro, life will be significantly, like if these things were designed for us to become successful, bro, I'm telling you right now, life will be significantly different for all of us. Society, like access to information, basic information or knowledge, you know, proper like history knowledge, not cherry picking any sort of events and etc., etc. But obviously that is not the case, right? You just gotta ask the common sense. If this was truly the case, if society was actually designed in a way that would make us successful, everybody, or at least I'd argue that a lot more people in today's society, a lot more people, especially when it comes to the lower income class families, would be making tons of more money. But why? It's because society was never designed. These expectations and rules of society were never designed in a way that would actually make you live your life how you always envisioned you to be able to live your very own life. And like I mentioned before, I was literally speaking with a client, like not even the other day, bro. He was telling me how he's tired of, you know, having to constantly follow these expectations and rules. And if you're wondering what those things might be, it's especially like this idea, especially if you live in a city, especially if you live in a city. And then let's not even get into the conversation and the fact that living in a city actually isn't even good for your health. It's not. It's not. All the artificial frequencies, all these loud noises, it's not good for your health. But that's for a whole different conversation, right? He was telling me, he's like, bro, all I've been doing my whole life is just work. I've been working. I've been doing essentially what society has been telling me to do. Work, hustle, hustle, hustle. Always be on the move. Always be on the go, right? Essentially, these are the expectations and the rules society is constantly placing onto us subconsciously as people. But he was telling me, he's like, man, I'm still unsatisfied. I'm still unfulfilled within myself. I want to get better at life. I want to be able to spend more time with my daughter, just be able to have more quality time and just being able to get better at the simple things in life. I want to get better at life. I'm tired of working. I want to just simply get good at life. So kind of like the biggest trap that society has kind of put onto us as people is especially like the hustle culture, you know, this idea that you always constantly need to be on the move, this idea that you always constantly need to be going and moving and just constantly like up on your feet 24/7, productivity, you know, 24/7, right? Is the actually one of the main reasons as to why a lot of our lives are just not where we want them to be. The reason why a lot of our lives are just completely messed up. And most importantly, the reason why a lot of our lives, we just completely hate our lives, we're miserable about them, is because of this idea of society of you constantly need to be up on your feet, moving, working, being productive, hustling, doing all these things, subconsciously programming you to think and believe that you always need to be working, up on your feet, working hard, 24/7. And I'm not saying that this is false. However, because of this idea, or more so this ideology, now it's like nobody has actually ever had time to truly be able to just really sit down and be able to think and reflect for themselves. Nobody's actually able to really just be able to sit down and really just think about how the day was. Nobody's actually able to just sit down, do like a quick little 10-minute meditation, thinking about just, you know, understanding and realizing that their internal world is the reason why their external world is completely shit. Bro, just think about it, bro. Why do you think over 80% of Americans in America just are not living their dream lives? Or more importantly, 80% of Americans that were never actually able to achieve their dreams. It's because of the expectations and standards that society has placed onto us, which is the exact reason as to why half of us, if not even more than half of us, are not actually living our lives in our very own images. And because of the fact that the programming and the psychological damage that's been done to our subconscious minds collectively as people is just so deep that, and I've always said how there is no undoing the damage that has been done to us as the people. You know, I'm talking about more so like psychological damage. This is more than just physical damage, because the damage, or more so the programming that's been done onto us in our minds as the people, bro, goes like has emotionally and metaphysically scarred ourselves from being able to actually move forward in our lives, from actually being able to live our lives how we've always envisioned us to be able to live our lives. These traumatic metaphysical scars and these subconscious programmings that have been fed into our belief systems ever since we were little kids is the exact reason as to why half of us are not living lives that we want to be able to live. And so by being able to realize and understand that society's expectations and standards and rules of us as people, as humans, were actually never designed in a way that would actually make us successful, being able to understand and realize this makes us more being able to seek out more knowledge, getting more accessible, finding resources and information and better knowledge, higher quality knowledge that will actually be able to help further and transform your very own life for the better, bro. Because, bro, 80% of Americans, like, it's crazy how nobody is truly talking about, you know, the fact that 80% of Americans, I believe it was like 70 to 80%, you can go ahead and look it up on Google, of Americans have not, or just completely given up on their dreams. And everybody decides to look at this stuff as normal. You know, not everyone achieves their dreams. Not everyone can get to their goals, aspirations, and whatever. And that's another thing as well. We need to stop calling our goals dreams. We need to stop, because by doing this, by calling your goals dreams, you are subconsciously programming your mind that your goals are a lot farther than where they actually could be at. So for me, I only have goals. There is no dreams, because I know and understand that everything that I want to be able to achieve in my life, I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to do it. There is no dreams. It's only goals, because I know I'm eventually get it done regardless. Think about it, bro. You wake up, you do what society has asked of you to do. You do what society has expected of you to do. And yeah, You do all of it. You've been doing it for the past couple of years, if not even decades, if you're watching this. Because I actually do know and understand that most of my audience is people that are like older than me, which is fine, not a problem. But, you know, you do all these things and expectations that society has expected of you, but yet you still feel unsatisfied within yourself. You still subconsciously know within your mind that something is just not adding up. You know and realize that something is just not right. You know, it's sitting inside of your heart that you are just not living in a way that actually ideally suits the kind of person that you are. You subconsciously know and understand this, but yet you push it to the side. You think, oh yeah, my personal feelings don't matter. I need the money, right? And this programming, bro, like, it's insane. And, you know, this programming is serious, bro. Like, a lot of us hate our lives, but we won't even come to face the kind of people or our personal feelings that could actually potentially be telling us, hey, it's time to live our lives how we want to be able to live our lives. Hey, it's time to live our lives, you know, our dream lives. It's a time for us to be able to achieve our goals. These are your personal feelings, you know, or more specifically, your heart trying to tell you this. And a lot of people don't realize or understand that your heart is actually one of the most spiritual organs, if not the most spiritual organ that you have inside of your body, trying to like really emphasize and tell you this stuff. But it's like you push it to the side because, you know, you heard from societal standards and expectations that your personal feelings don't matter, that you need to be chasing the money, that you need to be chasing the bag, and that you don't need to be making money in a way that actually aligns with the kind of person you are. And because of these beliefs, because of these ideologies, and most importantly, because of these programmings that have been done to us, bro, we are just living in a mess, like literally. Overall, like, we just need to be able to realize and understand all of this information and knowledge. We need to be able to realize and understand that the society's rules and expectations and standards that have been designed and placed onto us as collectively as people have never been designed in a way that would make us successful, but rather the exact opposite. Being able to like realize and understand this will make you being able to become more resourceful, being able to actually be more accessible, and just being able to really realize and understand how you need to actually start to do things that actually resonate with the kind of person that you are, doing things that actually align with the version of yourself that you envision you becoming in the future, right? So yeah, I mean, that's literally it. Like, and bro, the amount of videos that I'd arguably say I've made about this topic, but it's like, it's literally like who I am, bro. Like, if I were to have a motto to my name, I feel like everyone should have a motto, kind of having like a singular quote that they live by. Mine's is to live your life in your image. Because at the end of the day, if you're not living in your life in a way that actually aligns with the kind of person that you are, then there's no point. There's literally no point. Because it was maybe last year, junior year of high school, where I made a video talking about why I feel unfulfilled within my life. And man, I really was. Like, that video wasn't even for attention. It just simply was because life was just feeling so repetitive, bro. I used to go to school, wake up, go to school, go to work. Well, excuse me. Go to school, go to gym, go to work. Wake up, go to school, go to gym, go to work. Literally every single day. And I really just had to come to the realization. I really just had to sit with myself and realize, like, what am I doing, bro? Like, I was really just realizing the unfulfillment that I had within myself, and most importantly, the unfulfillment that I had within my heart, that life was just getting repetitive, and most importantly, the unfulfillment that I had within myself was just getting up to me. So this idea of we need to be listening to, you know, societies and expectations of us is completely false. It's false, because if this was truly what was best for us, life will be significantly better for, I'd argue, about 80, 60, 70% of humans. But obviously that is simply not the case. And this is the reason as to why you need to stop listening to the expectations and standards that society has placed onto you, but instead to live a life that's actually more aligned with the kind of person that you are. I've been saying that, literally emphasizing this whole video, but like, nothing's more important, right? So, but yeah, y'all, so that's pretty much the video. Go ahead and, you know, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Big things coming soon, by the way. I've emphasized that a bit, but I got some crazy things coming soon. Just so, yeah, go ahead and stay tuned. But yes, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the video off that. Thank y'all for watching. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. But I'm gonna go ahead and end the video off that. And that's King Wellness, and I'm out.